with the airports for I've been with the airports for about 9.5 years now. And I am a resident of Sugar House, so I always take a lot of interest in what's going on in the community there. But just wanted to start with a general overview of the um, airport. And I just have to make sure I'm getting that. So there we go. So I'm not sure if everyone is aware, but Salt Lake City International is a department of the city, and we operate 3 airports. So we have the International Airport, but we also operate South Valley Regional Airport and Tooele Valley Airport as well. And this is just showing you some of the accolades that we have received since opening the first phase of the new SLC back in the fall of 2020. And we're also proud to have been recognized by the Salt Lake Tribune as the Person of the Year, and that was in 2023. That was something that we had not expected. It was really an honor for us. Here's another recognition that we're very proud of. We're always recognized for on-time performance. That's something that we work hard on, especially with the weather that we have here. Sometimes it makes it a challenge, but we are on a regular basis recognized for #1 airport for on-time arrivals and departures. So here's just a quick overview of our air service that we currently offer. 2024 was another record-breaking year for Salt Lake City. We had more than 28,000 passengers that came through the front door. And the capacity has grown since we have opened the new airport because, we have more gates. And so we've been able to attract new airlines and added new air service. So just to give you an idea of some of the new airlines that we have recently added, one is Avelo, Hawaiian, and Sun Country. And then Air Canada had been in this marketplace for a while. They returned. And then we also have a new airline, WestJet, that will be opening up its service in mid-May. And they will be providing nonstop service to Edmonton, Canada, and that will be 3 times weekly. So overall, this is a domestic route map, and you can see everywhere that we're flying within the North American area. We have more than 300 daily departures to 100 nonstop destinations. And we really have to credit Delta, having the 4th largest hub here in Salt Lake City. We really wouldn't be able to offer this type of service if it wasn't for Delta. We probably would be the size of more of a medium-sized airport, such as Colorado Springs, if we didn't have Delta as our hub carrier. And then here's an international route map, and you can see the beginning of May, the Edmonton route. And one thing that we're very excited for is coming in June of this year, we'll be launching a nonstop flight to Incheon in Seoul, South Korea. And so that's something that's been a long time coming. And right now we're in the midst of really promoting this new flight in the South Korea area to make them more familiar with what's available to our market. But really for people who are traveling from Salt Lake City to South Korea, there's a lot of connecting opportunities too. So it's really going to open up the Asian market. And the one thing I thought was really interesting, I heard the statistics a little while ago. So we talked about the nonstop destinations, but think about it, within one stop, passengers can access about 600 destinations from Salt Lake City. So really provides a good opportunity for people, whether they're flying for business or for leisure, to access various markets. So where are we with the construction program? We opened up phase 3 last October on October 22nd of 2024. And phase 3 included the new river tunnel, and I'll show a picture of that next, but also a continuation of some of the large-scale art installations that you see when you enter the airport. The Canyon is the main one, and you can see here we have the Canyon 2.0 and another piece of artwork that's called Northern Light. And then the one thing that we were very excited about is to be able to reinstall the world map. And some of you may have remembered the world map was in the old airport, in Terminal 1. And once we started doing security screening, we had it covered up with stanchions, but we were able to save that map, and we had it in storage, and I think it was about 70 pieces. And we were able to reinstall it, and we had this opening in October, and really it's just been a such a welcome piece of artwork that everybody had. The community, I think, just really has some fond memories of their time spent on that world map, and now people are creating new memories as well. But that world map, just as an aside, you see a route map, an airline route map on there, and actually is United's original route map. Okay, so let's see. Here's a image of the river tunnel. If you haven't had an opportunity to experience this, it really is a unique experience. It really it incorporates some of the fins, if you will, from the canyon. So there's that continuity. And then it was designed to kind of mimic a dry riverbed, if you will. And so you see the blue hues. And then we have three different sections of the tunnel, and there is a playlist with more than 100 songs that are playing continually. So the reality is that as you travel through the tunnel, you'll probably rarely hear the same song twice, but it's been very well received by the public, and it's just added to a positive customer experience here because, as you may be aware, with the before we were able to open this, we had the mid-concourse tunnel, and it was a bit of a walk if you were going to the end of Concourse B, but now this takes you directly over to Concourse B, so it's a much shorter walk. So we're now working on finishing up phase 3. We have 5 more gates that will open up in October of this year, and then we'll be opening up an additional 5 gates for phase 4. And then in October 2026, we'll open up the final 11 gates on phase 4. But something to look forward to, and hopefully I can run this video so you can see. But we have selected the concessions for the new phase 4 and have some really unique different shops and restaurants coming in. And one thing that we have really tried to focus on is to have a lot of the local restaurants and shop represented in the airport. And so a unique brand that's coming for phase 4 is Moab Brewery. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully play this video, and you'll be able to
The new SLC is proud to announce new concessions for phase 4 in Concourse B. Here is just a taste of what's to come.
Hi, my name is Alfonso Brito, chef and owner of Monarca. Come to Monarca, mi casa es tu casa, Concourse B, Salt Lake City Airport. We work very hard to bring really authentic ingredients from Mexico. One of them is the octopus tacos, which is one of the favorites. Also, we have lobster tacos, we have lobster enchiladas, we have zucchini blast on Hollywood. We offer that kind of dishes that we are made to order, very fresh with authentic ingredients. Can you imagine from a very humble beginning in a taco cart to be in the airport in Salt Lake City is just a dream come true.
Very excited for Aubergine to be in the Concourse B. Aubergine started 10 years ago as a little cafe, and we want to give the best to the community as far as having a very tasty food as well as a healthy food. No refined sugar at all, extra virgin olive oil, lots of whole foods, an international cuisine, plates from many different countries in the world. You are what you eat. Huh? If you eat something good for you, and you feel better.
Moab Brewery was established in this exact same location in 1996. The opening of our location in the Salt Lake Airport is the biggest opportunity that we've had as a business to date, to be able to bring our products of both spirits, beer, and food to the masses in the airport. There's not a better spot to come and have a great meal and sit down and have some beers and some delicious food.
Hudson is a travel experience retailer. We were very excited to bring Utah National Parks to Salt Lake City International Airport. It's an iconic location representing the mighty 5 national parks. The experience in the store should be unique and representative of these parks. Our employees will be well educated on the parks. There will be books, pamphlets, brochures, and QR codes to help people learn more about the parks. Hudson Via Volta is so thankful to be selected to be part of the Terminal B expansion.
In addition to these 4 vendors, we are proud to introduce the following concessions. And Go, Art of Aesthetics, Einstein Brothers Bagels, Good Earth Markets, Hudson, Moochie's, Mr. Charlie's Chicken Fingers, and Swig.
So some really fun new brands that you can enjoy when you come out to the airport when we open up phase 4. And then a couple of other new things that are happening when we open up that Concourse B East extension is we have an Amex Centurion Lounge that will be opening up. And then Delta will be opening up another Sky Club. And that Sky Club will be just above the world map. So there'll be a great view looking out towards the northern part of the valley. So here's a map that shows the phasing on the gate count and the opening date. So when all is said and done, we will have 94 contact gates. And just to give you an idea of how that compares with the former airport, in the former airport, we had 54 contact gates, 72 gates overall. So you may remember Concourse E, you walked out to your aircraft, so it wasn't considered what's called a contact gate. But if you look here, you can see what's coming online in October of this year with phase 3. So we've got some, this is considered phase 3. Those are 5 gates. We have 5 gates, which are part of phase 4. And then these other gates, they're in the purple and the gray. Those 11 gates will open up in October of 2026. And then this project will be completed. So here's an aerial view. This was taken just a month or 2 ago, but it shows the construction program. You can also see kind of a arm, if you will, that's coming out, extending on the east end of Concourse B. That's something that's being prepared if we needed to ever in the future do a hard stand operation again. So that's the construction program. I just briefly wanted to mention some other things that are new here at the airport. We recently opened up a sensory room, and this is actually the first of 3 sensory rooms that will be opening up. This one is located by White Horse Restaurant in Concourse A, but we work closely with a company called Culture City, and it's really to provide an inclusive space for passengers who might have some sensory challenges. That could be individuals with autism. It could be people who have PTSD, dementia, excuse me, or any other sensitivities to noise and overstimulation. And so we've really tried to make sure that this airport is very accessible. And so this is one way that we're working to do that. And I do have, just to show you briefly, a little bit about this room because I think it is so unique. And if you have anyone who, or if you want to experience yourself, basically, I'll just show you a sneak peek of what it looks like.
Today we opened a sensory room. A sensory room is for people who have sensory processing disorders or neurodivergent conditions.
One in 4 of us have a sensory need, whether it's autism, anxiety, PTSD, dementia, Parkinson's. And for those individuals, travel becomes stressful and overwhelming. Even in an airport that's as beautiful and as efficient as Salt Lake City is, it's still a place that can be stressful and loud, even with dogs barking. Our sensory rooms are designed by a team of medical professionals as well as neurodiverse individuals.
There are touch elements, there are lighting elements, blocks out most of the external sound. It was so awesome to see the target audience go into that room and be so immediately receptive and excited.
Winnie, what do you think of it? I think it's so fun.
On behalf of Culture City and this partnership with the Salt Lake City International Airport,
we would like to present the certificate of sensory accessibility and inclusion. Just a round of applause for everyone that's made this happen. And you. We're really honored to work with Salt Lake City, the airport, and are thankful to everybody who's been a part of this project and looking forward to opening the other sensory rooms very soon.
So that's one of the new amenities that we've been offering, and I just wanted to close with showing what's coming for the future. We do master plans, and the last one, well, we did one in 1998 that actually forecasted this project, which today has been realized. You can see in this slide the former airport and the new concourses and terminal and parking structure that have come online as a result of that 1998 master plan. We have another master plan that we have also put together, just recently completed that. This shows you a little bit of some of the exterior work that we're planning on, including a runway extension. We're adding a couple of taxiways to make it more safe and efficient for planes to taxi from the east to the west side. So there's always a lot of work that's going on, just looking towards the future and planning for the future. So for example, you may have heard that we're planning a Concourse C. So there's a lot of work that has to be done on the airfield before we would be able to even break ground for that Concourse C. So you'd have to relocate the fuel farm and do a number of other substantial moves. So we're actually starting to work on that now, and you may be hearing more in the community about that. And then just wanted to mention our sustainability. Very proud to have LEED Gold recognition, and continuing to work on electrifying our ground equipment. So now we're just preparing for the future and looking towards the 2034 games. And we will be ready when they come here. So that's about it. I'm sorry to rush through that so quickly, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any, if you have time.
Oh yeah, for sure. Does anybody have any questions? Jan?
Hey, Nancy, thank you so much. What a great presentation. Congratulations to everyone on your team out there. I think you make all of us proud and make the city and the state proud. Can you just give a quick tutorial about the financial and political relationships between the airport and Salt Lake City? Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So we are an enterprise fund of the city. So basically, we're responsible for generating the money that we spend. So no local taxpayer money comes to the airport. We were really fortunate when we started this project. It was delayed because of 9/11, the Great Recession. There was a bankruptcy that Delta had filed. So we had a lot of money in savings when we started. So we were in a very good position to start this program. You know, we have gone out to the bond market since. We do have debt right now, but we that does not we pay that off through our tenant fees, or the landing fees that the airlines pay. You know, the concessions, the money that we generate, and the revenue that we generate from parking. So that's kind of just a simple overview. We do get federal grant monies, and there's certain I guess you'd say there's kind of strings attached to some of that money. So there's certain things that we are able to do and we cannot do because of that. But we do have a page on our website that covers all of the financials, and we update that with new information every time we do a new budget. So on Tuesday, I know that our executive director, Bill Wyatt, and our CFO, Brian Butler, presented to the city council, and they reviewed the budget and believe that we'll be moving forward with that. I believe it was approved.
But your political relationship is with the city, right? They have oversight.
Yes, yes. So we are a department of the city. So I don't think a lot of people realize that, but we absolutely, the mayor is ultimately our boss, if you want to put it that way. So we work very closely with the city.
Nancy, Diane in the chat asked when the train line will be extended.
So that will be extended when we build a Concourse C. So right now that tunnel, you can't see it, but there are two train areas on the right and on the left. And so basically, when we extend we'll extend that train once we build a Concourse C. Right now, the walk, it wouldn't make much sense to have a train now because the walk, by the time you got on the train, it would just be a second or two before you were on the other end. But we do obviously have the carts that we have added to the concourses and to the tunnels to help people who have mobility issues. So that's something that have been able to add in the last couple of years now that we have expanded the concourses. We have more space to spread out. Before, it was so congested in the one areas of the concourse A and B, we weren't able to offer those golf carts, but now we've got those operating. So I think that's really helped the experience for passengers.
Thank you. Jason?
Yes, on the topic of mobility assistance, I just want to give some critical feedback as a wheelchair user. I find Salt Lake International Airport to be one of the worst airports in the country for a wheelchair. It's just the long distances and the having to carry extra weight with your bag. The carts don't help somebody in a wheelchair. So
Yeah.
without a people mover, the only airports that are less conducive to a wheelchair are 40 years old with carpeting. Anyway, I'll leave it with that.
Well, I appreciate that. And we do have an individual who oversees our accessibility program. I'm sure that he would be very happy to talk to you and see if there's anything that we can do to make that journey a little bit easier for people in wheelchairs.
I mean, it's a well-known issue. It's just the distances, really. Without a people mover, it's not going to change anytime soon.
Okay, well, I appreciate you providing that feedback. I will pass that along too.
Anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you, Nancy. Thanks for coming.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And please, if there's any questions afterwards, or if you have any input, my phone number and address is on our website, and I'm happy to answer your questions or put you in touch with the right people. So,
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
All right, so I'm gonna thank Andy right now for coming on. I just asked him yesterday to come, but Cindy Cromer asked if we could talk about the walkable Salt Lake City plan today. So we have Andy Holka joining us. Andy, can you unmute?
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me. Appreciate the chance to be here. Yeah, let me see if I can share my screen. There we go. How's that look?
Looks good.
Seeing, okay, great.
And you just presented this to City Council, is that right?
We took it to the Planning Commission recently, and I think we will likely have a briefing with the City Council sometime soon as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm Andy Holka. I'm a principal planner, work the planning division. I've been here with the city for about 2.5 years. I've been to quite a few of the community councils, but I've never had a chance to be at this meeting, so appreciate the chance to be here. Walkable Salt Lake City is a project that we have been working on internally. It's basically a mapping tool. The idea was that we wanted a mapping tool to help visualize walkability to amenities for things like grocery stores, parks, and schools. Walkability is something that is very important in city planning circles. We often talk about the importance of walkability for promoting public health, the impact on the environment and economy is beneficial. It's also important to note that walkability is a complex topic. There's no one way of measuring how walkable a neighborhood is. There are a lot of different factors to consider. So access to amenities is just one way to analyze walkability. But we thought that it would be a useful tool that we could provide using the data that the city already has. This is not intended to say that, just because something's nearby, you have to walk to it. The benefits of having amenities nearby still apply even if you drive. If you have restaurants and shops close to your neighborhood, whether you walk or drive, it's still going to help with traffic to have you going somewhere close by rather than going across town or going to another city to get, whatever you're going to shop for, to visit, the parks or trails or something. It's nice, and there is a benefit to having all of those available locally. But with that in mind, this tool was just created. It's not to promote any one project or anything. The idea was to just have a useful online interactive map tool to help visualize which areas have a lot of amenities in the city and which areas may be lacking. So a quick rundown on how we put this together. We mapped a bunch of different amenities. You can see the list on the screen. This data came from the city business licensing, our mapping information, school district for the schools, city library locations, things like that. So for example, the image on the screen shows the grocery store locations. Once we had all of the amenities mapped, we mapped the walk sheds, or 15-minute walking distance around each location that had an amenity. As you can see, they're not perfect circles. These are mapped using our sidewalk data, intersection data, mid-block walkways, alleyways, that sort of thing. So it follows the walking routes, and we calculated 15-minute distances to each of the amenities. And then once we did that for all of the different categories, we overlaid them onto a single map to create a little bit of a heat map. So on this map on the screen, you can kind of see the areas in the warmer orange and yellow colors. Those have more amenities nearby, while the blue and purple colors were a further distance away from more categories of amenities. So I want to quickly, let me get out of this. I'm going to show you how to access the map. So if you're familiar with the city website, slc.gov, if you navigate to the planning divisions page, we have, you'll scroll down, we have some updates on some of the big ongoing projects up top. And then we have open houses showing active, you all know about that from the community councils, the different projects going on. And then if you keep scrolling, you'll get to the updates, which is kind of our more long-range projects like this. That's where the link to Walkable SLC is. So you will be able to access this. I'd encourage you to take a look at it at home if you have a chance. Very interesting. The link to the story map is available there. And I won't go through the whole story map, but we have information similar to what I've described on how things were put together and how to use the map. You can click the link to the map. And then also I like to open it in its own tab here. So let me just get that pulled up. Hopefully everything works. Okay, there we go. Great, so this is the interactive map. As you can see, you can click and drag or scroll to zoom in. This is showing that heat map that I was talking about. I want to go through on the left side here, we have a list of layers that you can toggle on and off. There are a lot of different tools here that we think will be useful in different situations. The heat map, you can toggle them on and off by just turning this little eyeball, click on that icon to display what you want to see. You can view the heat map by blocks or parcels. So for example, I'm going to turn on the parcel heat map. Takes a minute, but with that on, you can zoom into a parcel, click on it, and it's going to pull up some information. It will have the address, the number of amenities that are within 15 minutes. So in this case, there are 13 out of the 15 that we tracked. So very highly walkable, lots of stuff nearby. And then as you scroll down, you can see for each amenity how far away it is. So it'll say, for instance, here, a bus stop is 5 minutes away, childcare is a 15-minute walk, and so forth. It looks like the hospital and library are a little bit more than 15 minutes for this particular address. So you'll see that those are blank. And then a little bit of information about zoning and the acreage, that sort of thing. So very interesting. If you want to search for your address in the top right corner, there's a search bar. You can type in an address, and you can look anywhere in the city and see which amenities are within that 15-minute walking distance. We have a few other layers just to quickly show you. We created what we're calling a walkability index. As I was mentioning when we started, walkabilities, it's not something that we can easily, perfectly analyze. But one way that we tried to do that is by kind of ranking the amenities by which ones you would want to have closer to home to be able to walk more. For instance, I think we put grocery stores pretty high up there. We gave a little bit of extra points. And using that system, we ranked the areas of the city in tiers of most walkable, somewhat walkable, and least walkable. It's a little bit subjective, but this one is a fun one. I would encourage you to go look through, see if you agree with these findings. We could definitely update this if anything looks incorrect, but kind of fun to look at that. A few other tools that we have. I'll zoom in maybe on the avenues. We have tree canopy coverage. And let me go. You can select by the neighborhood and turn on which neighborhood you want to look at. We have data from 2012 and from 2024. So you can toggle those on and off to kind of see where the trees are, see what changes we've had over the last 12 years or so. That's useful for when you're trying to evaluate whether an area is walkable, because you may have a lot of amenities nearby, but if you don't have shade, if it's not a comfortable and safe walk, then maybe it's not really as walkable as it appears based off the amenities. If you're interested in a specific amenity, you can toggle those on and off. So here, if I click on childcare, you'll see the little icons with the baby. You can click on each of these to see, okay, this is a Montessori school. They'll have a little bit of information from the business license. We have that for all of the different categories. So, right, here's our Harmon's downtown. You can toggle those on and off as well as their walk sheds. So here's now the grocery stores with their 15-minute walking distance around. That's kind of fun if you're looking at maybe a specific project in your neighborhood for a certain type of store or restaurant. You want to kind of see if it's filling a gap. This can be a very useful tool for that. We also have some basic information. City council districts are mapped, as well as community councils. You can see all of these that will be useful to you in your positions. Sidewalk, bikeways, mid-block crossings are all available. And then one more interesting thing is we also have some housing data, dwelling units per block or per acre. So if I turn that on, this is it's similar to the other heat map, where the bluer, darker colors have lower amounts of housing, and the lighter colors, the yellows, have more. And you can see block by block which blocks have more housing and which have less. This block, it just shows straight the dwelling units, 393. So as we're trying to analyze where do people live? Where are the amenities that people want to get to? We want to kind of help from both ends of the equation, help bring amenities to the neighborhoods where they may be lacking. And also, if we have areas that are highly walkable with lots of amenities, what can we do to help more people live there so they can live in those walkable, desirable neighborhoods? That's a very quick rundown on the different layers in the map. We have a couple examples just to share how it might be useful to you. Oh, and quickly, before I move on, let me go back to this. So as you go through the walkable SLC story map, you have access to the map. We also put together these community profiles. So for each of the long-range planning areas in the city, we put together a little bit of a report. If I click on downtown, for example, it's got a little bit of summary, how we put the map together, and then an analysis. This is showing what I was showing before, the block level analysis of the amenities. We have the percentage breakdown of how many, parcels can access those specific categories within that neighborhood. And we also did a comparison to the citywide percentages versus each neighborhood to see where the gaps are. So for example, in downtown, this may not come as a surprise, but there's no hospital downtown. So you can see 0% of the properties downtown are within walking distance of a hospital, which is much less than the overall city average. So as we go through, you can go through that website, click on your community, read through it, see what the data shows. Again, we tried to evaluate as many amenities as possible. We used all the business license and mapping data available for the city. And just really quickly, I'll share a few examples. So some of the findings that we found that I thought to be interesting, for one, was that Sugar House arguably has the most walkable areas in the city. The brighter yellow blocks are the blocks that have access to all of the amenities that were measured. The avenues also, perhaps unsurprisingly, is very walkable. You can see when we zoom in on the parcel level data, some of the parcels are in that lighter yellow color, which means that they have access to all of the amenities that we measured. And downtown, as I mentioned, right, would be normally have access to everything except for hospitals. As I mentioned before, there is that gap where once a hospital gets, the downtown hospital is built, that should improve the walkability, the access to amenities for the downtown, for a lot of properties downtown. That's one example of how you, in your role as community council leaders, can help evaluate when a new proposal comes in to see if it's helping to fill a gap that's needed in the community. Some other interesting findings were Central City was low on libraries. And so that, again, supports an ongoing project the city has with the ballpark as we look to see what should go in that location when it's redeveloped. I think it's important that a library and community center use is provided there. We see through the data that this community really needs that amenity. We talked a little bit about the tree canopy coverage. An example of how that might be used is this is showing 300 West from 1300 South down to 2100 South. That corridor has some of our larger big box stores, and so not a lot of tree canopy coverage. We're going through the process now of updating the long range plan for that area. And so we're going to make sure that we include strategies for any new projects that come through to provide open space, street trees, vegetation in that area. Another plan that's coming through that you all might have some involvement with is the Northwest Plan. Northwest includes a lot of the Rose Park area, Fair Park area. That neighborhood has, interestingly, a little bit of a gap in healthcare, hospitals, pharmacies, and recreation, and just generally overall a need for more access to amenities. And so as new developments come through in this area, for instance, development along North Temple, the Power District has been in the news a lot lately. This can help inform policymakers as they decide what needs to be built in this area. Hopefully, more healthcare, wellness, pharmacy opportunities to help with the residents of the Northwest area. And then I think this may be the last one. Oh, we have two more. So one is the RMF, our multifamily residential districts are going through an update right now. What we found is that the Planning Commission wanted the planners to analyze all of these properties to see which ones should have a little bit higher density, higher building heights, and which ones should remain with the lower building heights in the multifamily zones. Part of the analysis that we're going to do that is to see which ones are in the more highly walkable neighborhoods, and those ones may be more appropriate for a little bit more density. And then again, another example of just how you might look at a project that evaluates a specific amenity. A good way to show this is we're back in the avenues again. This map shows the grocery store. There's only one, the Smith's on 6th Avenue, with the walking shed, the distance around the store mapped. You can see that further east in the avenues, they're a little bit outside of the walking distance to that grocery store. Part of the reason for that, as we look through, you can see that there is, these red, orange, and yellow blocks all have quite a bit of housing on them. Why is there no grocery store? Why do we have fewer commercial amenities on that side of the neighborhood? You can see when you toggle on the zoning map, there's only one block that's zoned for commercial, with maybe just a few little corner neighborhood commercial spots. But the zoning is really what's limiting the ability for new businesses to come into that portion of the neighborhood. So these are the things that you can kind of see by comparing, by looking at the different layers on the map. As you look at new projects that come to your community, we hope that this will be a useful way for you to help provide additional information, additional analysis to kind of support what your group talks about. That's a little, sorry, I know that was a quick overview and I saw there were a few questions in the chat, but just really excited to share that for you. Hope that it is useful to you as you're reviewing the projects in your area.
Andy, my God, that's a lot of work.
Thank you.
I'll just read one of these questions in the chat, if that's okay. Says, I imagine real-time updates would be difficult, but development is happening rapidly. Are there plans for periodic rolling updates, or would that require an entire overhaul of the maps?
Yes, so that is a great question. Some of the layers are just tied to the city's parcel data. Some of it will just be consistently automatically updated. The business license data is the tricky part. That is something that does require a little bit of human review. For example, I see another question in the chat is about what counts as a grocery store. And that was a question that we had as well, because our business license data has a couple different categories. And so we tried our best to sort through the data to find the locations that had year-round access to fresh produce. Some other cities have done similar maps like ours, and they included things like farmers market on their food and grocery layers. We did not, because we wanted to only map year-round locations. And there are also smaller convenience stores that kind of serve that purpose for some neighborhoods. So anyway, just to make the point that some of these are a little bit of a judgment call. And so we would welcome input. If we're missing anything, please feel free to share us. We have contact information on the website, but we will be updating this. I think our thinking is probably at least every year we'll go through and make sure that the license data for all of the businesses is updated. Things like schools, again, will just, I think, probably need to be manually updated. The school closures are not something that happen frequently, but we did have that recently while we were working on this plan. So things like that will also require updates, but we do plan to keep it as up to date as we can.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions? Whoa. Do you mind sharing the website in the chat?
Of course.
Some of us can post it. Hey,
Great.
thanks again, Andy, for coming on such a short notice.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for
Okay.
having me.
If there's none other questions, you are free to go. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything before we sign off? Okay, we'll see you in May, I guess. Enjoy the rain.